All right, we're joined in the media center by Greg Biffle, driver of the number 16 Clean Harbors Ford for Roush Fenway Racing. Greg, if you would, talk about today's race, what some of your expectations are headed into it here at Auto Club Speedway.
Yeah, absolutely. It's we've been searching for a little bit of speed since we got here, but I remember last year here we qualified in a similar spot and drove up to fourth, and then we had a left rear tire issue, so then we got grass on the grill and burned the engine up. So we're hoping to not do that today and work our way towards the front of this pack. And our final practice, we were 14th in the final practice, 16th in the first practice on Saturday, and so we found some speed in our car. We're certainly not happy with that yet, but maybe a few more changes and what the guys looked at and ran through the sim back at the shop hopefully will give us some additional speed for today.
Fair enough. With that, we'll open it up to questions. Holly, go ahead.
Holly Kane, NASCAR.com. Greg, I know this isn't a direct correlation, but the Xfinity side of the organization is faring very well, and their cars are running well. I mean, is there anything good that can be drawn from that, or just as an organization make you feel like it's coming, good days?
Yeah, I that certainly is a boost for our organization that the Xfinity cars are running well, and unfortunately they're like black and white. They don't have anything to do with the Cup side. The cars are completely different, and the ride height rules and all those things. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, that's really since the ride height rule change from 13 to 14 has really affected us on the Cup level. If you look at that change, which we were excited about and thought that get our cars down on the track and whatnot, that's the way the nationwide cars still are. They still have that minimum ride height, and really we've kind of struggled when that ride height rule came in. So we've sort of struggled a little bit with that, and so we're still working through figuring that out. But it's a positive that our nationwide cars are running good, and there are some things that we can take from that. Tire pressures, trends, what the track's doing, and things like that, because they are running up front and they are running fast.
Let's go back here and then to Mike Embry.
Greg, Brian Belansky, RPM Motorsports Radio Network. You're the elder statesman at Roush now. I've been with the organization for a long time. Can you remember a time when you guys have struggled like you are struggling now? And the fact that you came out of that, does that give you a good feeling to try to get this thing pointing in the right direction? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, it's I could give you so many instances where this has been, where this sport has been up and down for us. And you can sit back and look at any organization and say the exact same thing. So to start off with, when I first came into the Cup Series, we were in, I feel like, kind of in this position. We had 5 cars kind of struggling, missed a couple races, and really came out of that in 2004, winning a couple races, 2005 winning it more than anyone in the series. And these guys that are winning every week, I remember lapping them every week, and it's just the reality of it. That's the way it was then. Go back and look at the stats, and the roles are reversed today. It's just the way this sport is. And so to answer your question, then the next one was kind of 7 and 8, 9. We were sort of at a struggle point. I went my first season ever without winning a race. I think Carl did. I think Matt did. So we all went through that, and then 10, 11, 12, we're back winning races. Carl finished tied with Tony in the points. So to answer your question exactly, kind of here. That's the way this is, And you look at Childress, their cars are really fast right now. That they historically have done the same thing. So is Hendricks. Everybody's been there.
Let's go to Embry over here and then to Wolfgang.
Mike Embry, USA Today. Greg, what's your guesstimation on what Penske is doing that you guys are not? Is it steering geometry? Is it something that Aero or I guess if you knew exactly what it was, you'd fix
Yeah,
it.
I'll pay you a lot of money if you tell me. If you can go find it out for me. You know, it really, and a lot of people point to Penske as it being a manufacturer deal. And it truly isn't, isn't manufacturer related in my opinion, because we look at when Hendricks wasn't as dominant, look at when Childress wasn't as dominant as they are today, right? And look at Haas when they weren't as dominant as they are today. So it's not necessarily, Ford or Chevy, because when one of those Chevy teams weren't dominant, another one kind of was lurking around like Penske is, right? So I wouldn't say it's manufacturer related, but to answer your question, what are they doing different than us? It's no different than what is Ganassi doing different than we are. It's about aerodynamic. These cars are real similar aerodynamic wise, suspension and chassis wise. They could be identical. You could take one of those cars, cut the body off, and put a Ford body on it, and have the same suspension and shocks and springs that they have today. So it's they've figured out whatever they've figured out that we're trying to figure out. They've figured it out like the other guys have, and we feel like we're gaining on it. Certainly, Las Vegas was a high point for us last year. We finished 3 laps down and had no speed. This year we go there, ran top 10, finished, decent, had a good run, and something to build on. And we were excited about that. And then came here and, we were kind of scratching our heads a little bit on what we missed off the truck. We've gotten better now, but it's just a matter of these new cars. We're still figuring out the trend.
Wolfgang.
Wolfgang Munzer from Germany, Rennsport Press Agency. A follow-up question to Mike. You as a driver, what kind of areas you will point onto the Ford and say that should be improved? Is it engine, aero package? Is it a combination of both?
Yeah, it's the sport has changed so much. I remember the day where the driver, Mark Martin, Jeff Burton, myself, Matt, we would say, I want to, this car needs a 2 3/4 front sway bar. Add 50 pounds of rear spring to it. Do this, do that, do that. Today, these cars are so complicated, and they're so different, and the aerodynamics and the splitter and no ride height rules and all those things react so different in the car that there's so many more factors, and so it's hard for me. One thing I know it is not is the engine. Could it be improved to give us a little more speed or make a little more power? Sure, anything could. But Penske uses the same engine we use. So it's kind of like we can check that off, right? And check that out. So we know it's not that. And then we start looking down the line. So is it suspension or aero? Well, it may be a combination of the two that we need to improve, or it may be one or the other. And we just keep looking for what creates speed in the car, and just keep working on in that direction.
Let's go right here and then to Lee.
Okay, Presto, Cars in Competition. Greg, Harvick said yesterday after the race that there are some new bumps and ripples in the track. You guys love this rough surface. With the track bars and the downforce now, what kind of racing are the fans going to see today?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Every racetrack, it doesn't matter where it's at, the ground kind of shifts over the years, and just like the street, ends up with a new little dip or something in it. So, like every racetrack, this continues to change a little bit. They did grind some of the backstretch of, I think it was like that last year, but like I heard a couple drivers comment, it's on the straightaway, so it's not. Doesn't affect the car as much when you get down into the corner, because that's where the car really needs to grip the racetrack at. So, but you can try and move different lines and try and get around. That's what we love about this track. You see guys running the fence, some guys run in the middle, some guys run in the bottom. That's what makes good racing. And this racetrack provides us an opportunity all the way from the bottom to the top. And it does have some bumps that you got to, negotiate as well. I think it's going to be a good race.
Lee.
Lee Spencer, Motorsport.com. Are you encouraged at all by the new car that Roush Fenway Racing is working on for Texas?
Absolutely. It's a collaborative effort, through our organization. We've been working on that car since the end of last season and through the winter. And we've already had one test with it at Charlotte, and I know they weren't there weren't fireworks going off after the Charlotte test, but still this car is our next version of what it needs to be, or where we feel like we need to go. And so I'm excited to get to Texas and get driving this car, and so we can start working on it. Certainly the first time you have it out of the shop and on the racetrack, you may not have everything right on it. So with 3 or 5 of us or however many we're going to have at Texas, over the next couple intermediate tracks, hopefully we can dial that thing in.
And you've mentioned the splitter before in some of your comments. Is there something specific going on with the splitter? I mean, they had to take it. They worked with it on Harvick's car last week
Yep.
at Phoenix. It got held up in inspection. Is there something going on where you guys kind of need to look at what's happening with the front nose downforce?
Yeah, there's these cars are so sensitive. Every single little piece of paper. Like I said, I remember moving the fender in and out an inch with the braces. You could loosen them with a wrench and move the fender, and it was driver to driver. Matt may have his right front fender different than my left front, or it was something we looked at. It was a tuning tool on the car, and it's funny now we're talking about pieces of paper width of getting the splitter close to the ground and all that, and we know the speed is in keeping that splitter right at the racetrack all the way around, and that's what everyone in the garage is trying to achieve is that attitude. And some guys have figured out how to achieve that attitude, just perfect. And then some cars are not doing that, rolling up, kind of bouncing a little bit. And that's where that speed's coming from. So the splitter is very, very important. These cars are very aero sensitive. And once you get that attitude right, they have a ton of grip, and they stick to the racetrack very well. But when the thing moves around a little bit, that's when it'll start sliding or come, let go of the racetrack, so to speak.
TJ.
Greg, Tom Jensen, FoxSports.com. With this chase format, win one race in the first 26 and you're in, do you have a wider margin of error where if you struggle earlier in the season, you have more time to fix it and just win one and be ready for the final 10?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I love the points format. I love the chase format. I love how it is because, you can win on a restrictor plate track like Denny Hamlin did last year at Talladega and puts him in, his only win. And, he came from, pretty deep in the points. And so did Allmendinger, and so did the 43, Almirola. So those guys came from way deep in the points. We're not even close to making the chase and got an opportunity to get in. So I really like the, win and you're in format. I really do. I think it makes it more exciting. It makes it more dramatic for me. I made it in on points last year, and every guy that won bumped me down a position. But we were 11th in points going into that. In standard points we were 11th, but with all the win guys in front of us, it put us 15th. So there's 2 ways to get in, and I like that.
Let's go back here, and then we'll wrap it up with Jeff Gluck.
Last question, Greg. You guys have now 2 of the guys who used to be really fast in the Xfinity series versus Carl and Matt with a lot of experience in Cup to get through this little hump. Are you guys losing time because you don't have the help from the experienced feedback, or are you getting more help because of the guys who know these cars, which are a lot more like the Xfinity cars?
That's kind of a difficult question because it seems like the speed in these cars are built at the shop, and the driver, I wouldn't say is less of an influence on what the car actually needs, more than the driver sometimes can tell you that the front end geometry is not right, or the toe setting is not right. I mean, it's so hard to put it in the driver's hands. But on the other flip side of that, you need the driver to say, you know what, I feel the car rolling in the corner, and it feels like we got to keep the left front down, and I feel it dipping, back on the right rear. We need to add some right rear spring or prop that corner up, or, so the driver can have some influence to steer it in the direction, and that's what we've been doing at the 16 team. Is, we've been, I wouldn't say leading the way, but we're, on that edge of figuring out what we need and making our cars better. But it's not like the old days where and the thing is, all three of us are saying the same thing. You know what I mean? We sit in a debrief meeting. Ricky, myself, Eric Amarola, Trevor, we're all saying the exact same thing. So it's not like we have a difference of opinion, through the five of us. And so we know what we need. We just got to figure out how to get our mousetrap to do what we need.
Jeff Gluck from USA Today. I got in here late, so I apologize. Somebody asked you about a comment from the other day where you said that the organization was dying a slow death, or I don't know if you meant the organization, but what exactly, where did that come from, and what did you mean by that?
Well, you didn't miss anything because nobody's asked me about that yet. So, it's difficult as a competitor to show up at a place you've won twice at and come off the truck, 32nd in speed. It is difficult. And, I guess that, I didn't mean we're dying a slow death. It's like you want to unload off the truck and be 10th, or you want to unload off the truck and be in the top 10 or top 15. And, it seems like sometimes you take Las Vegas, for instance. I like to use Las Vegas because last year we finished 3 laps down there and didn't have any speed, and the car was undrivable. We go back to Las Vegas and we're fairly competitive, ran up in the, top 10 for part of the race, ended up with a decent finish. And we were really excited about that. And we come here, guns blazing, ready to go, unload off the truck, and, we just missed it, and I was really frustrated about that because this, I was running 4th here last year, and I knew with that car, we're not running 4th right now. Granted, we got it much better yesterday. We were 16th and 14th in the final practice on speed. So we got it better, but, you feel crushed when you've worked so hard and everybody's put so much effort into it, and the guys at the shop and the aero department and engineering and our new, new management, new engineering. We come here and finish or come off the truck with that kind of speed. That really crushed us, and I think that's what I meant. That was a blow to us that we ended up in that position off of the truck. Now we obviously got back to where we were at Las Vegas, which is certainly positive for us, and we're excited about the race today. They ran some stuff through the sim, and think we're going to be better than we were. But that's a blow when we have all the confidence and that happens to us.
All right, with that, we thank you, Greg,
Yep.
for joining us on a rare race morning. We wish you the best of luck today in the Auto Club 400.
Thank you.
Real quick, just a housekeeping item. Brian Vickers will be in here conducting media availability at 10:45. We'll start in just 30 seconds or so. I see a bunch of people running out here, and give them an opportunity to get in here.
Hey, buddy. Hey, did you get your award? What was the award? Huh? Yeah, this is the press conference. What? Hey, TK, you on your? Let's get your award now.
I was gonna say I want to make sure there's a lot of people listening.
Yeah. Everyone, this is Tommy Kendall. He's here today for an award for something, for his accomplishments in the 60s. And
why don't we go ahead and get started with that before it gets spun any further out of control. First and foremost, Brian, certainly great to see you here at the track. I want to let you know our thoughts and prayers have remained with you since we found out that on Friday that you wouldn't be racing this weekend. I think most people want to know first of all, how you feeling? How you doing? It's great to see you here at the track, but we want to hear from you. How are you?
Well, I'm here. I'm fine. It's been a tough weekend, frustrating. More probably as much or more, kind of on the emotional side this past week than on the physical side. The physical side for sure was a concern, which is what led me to go to the hospital. So this past week I had 2 great media opportunities. I got to spend the day with Mr. Arnold Palmer and Kevin Nealon, promoting the Arnold Palmer Invitational on Wednesday morning, and then Wednesday afternoon we flew from Orlando from there to New Orleans for the Aaron's Managers Meeting conference, which was a great conference. Those guys are. That whole group is really unbelievable in how they treat their people, and it's always fun to be at the managers meeting conferences. And then Thursday morning we flew to L.A. On the flight back from L.A. I had a little bit of kind of pain in my chest, when I was taking deep breaths, and I spent half the flight trying to convince myself that I bumped into something somewhere along the way. But I think deep down I kind of had an idea what it was. Unfortunately, I knew what that feeling was, and that kind of sharp pain on and off when you take deep breaths. And we landed in LA, and it wasn't too bad at that point. So I probably didn't do the smartest thing, but I went to the hotel to check in because I was still trying to convince myself that it was something else, and sit there for a few minutes and kind of pace in the room with Sarah, and was trying to figure out if I could turn my chest pain into something that it wasn't, and finally, as Sarah became more and more worried, I was like, okay, that's enough. And I just said, I told her, I said, if I go to the hospital, I was like, I'm not racing this weekend. And, she was very sweet and encouraging. She was like, well, you don't know that yet. Let's just go get it checked out. And I was like, yeah, I know. And, so we got in the car and went to the hospital. And, I walked in and told them exactly what to look for and where to look. And, requested a CT scan and D-dimer and all the things, and we went through that process. We were at we went to the UCLA hospital in Santa Monica, and I can't say enough about their staff, their doctors, their nurses. They treated us absolutely amazing. They were great, but unfortunately on the CT scan, I did have small clots. It was still early stage. I did mostly listen to my own advice, which was go to the doctor as soon as you think something's wrong. I probably could have gotten there a few hours sooner than I did, but I did get there pretty early, and so we called it. I had small blood clots in both lungs, and and then that's that. At that point I was, I had to reach out to Ty and everyone at MWR and our partners and kind of relay the news. I was going to be back on blood thinners for at least 3 months, and then try to figure out what's next from there. So that's kind of the full download. Needless to say, it's pretty frustrating, but hey, I've been here before. It's just, that's life. You just got to keep fighting. You can't give up. Just keep pushing forward, and you never know what tomorrow holds. So, I think that this weekend, coincidentally enough, has been about partnering with Janssen to raise awareness about clots. The month of March is Clot Awareness Month, and this is not quite how I wanted to raise awareness about clots, but here we are. So I think from my perspective, this has been a passion of mine now for 5 years, and there's no reason for it to stop being a passion just because it's not convenient at the moment. Right now I really want to take this opportunity and leverage this platform, this microphone, to continue to raise awareness about clots, the issues, the signs, the symptoms, the warning signs, and really encourage people to go see their doctor. Maybe I should have went straight to the doctor when I got off the plane. but I didn't wait 2 days. I waited an hour, and I went, and I'm glad I did, because it could have turned into a serious problem, and it didn't, because I went to go see my doctor, and that's what made the difference.
Very good. We're thankful you went to the doctor as well. Let's go ahead and open it up to questions. We'll start with Tom and go to Wolfgang.
Hi, Brian. Tom Jensen, foxsports.com. I got to ask you, this is the third or fourth time this has happened. Are you worried that this might be a career-ending situation?
No, it's a fair question. Am I worried? Yeah, of course. Have I given up hope? No. I'm gonna, what I know right now is that, I unfortunately had to go, back on blood thinners. To be clear, I have not been on blood thinners. If I were, I probably wouldn't have blood clots, but I also wouldn't be able to race. Being off of blood thinners is what, working with my doctors closely to figure out how to solve the problems in the past and get off blood thinners is what allowed me to get back in the race car. Unfortunately, now I am back on blood thinners for at least 3 months, and through those 3 months, I'll just try to figure out what makes sense with my doctors to if I can come back off of them and go racing, if there's some kind of plan that works, and if not, then that's that. But we're so far away from crossing that bridge at this point. I can't really say. Certainly your questions crossed my mind about 1,000 times in the last 24, 48 hours. But the funny thing is I've been told now 3 times that I would never race again, and I've raced the last 2 weeks. So I'll never give up. And listen, if it comes to that, then move on to the next thing in life. I've always felt this way, and I still feel this way today, sitting here, is that I love racing more than any other activity that I do. I don't love it more than my wife, who takes good care of me, or my family, or my friends. But it's not who I am. It's something that I do, and it's something I love doing. But there's more to life than just this. And I think keeping that perspective is important. But it's also my favorite thing to do in the world, so I'm going to try to come back.
Thank you, and good luck.
Thank you. Let's go to Wolfgang, and then we'll go to Bob.
Wolfgang Monzer from Germany, Ranchport Press Agency. Brian, you said earlier you had pain in your chest. How's the situation now? You still have pain? And the day-to-day life, that means outside the racing world, can you drive a car? Can you have to go to hospital? Have you be under permanent medical observation? How's the life now at the moment for you?
So I had pain in my chest when I was breathing. The signs of potential DVT or deep vein thrombosis, a blood clot in the legs, or a pulmonary embolism, PE sometimes is referred to, blood clots in the lungs, which is what I have now. The signs and symptoms can be different for everyone. As it relates to a PE, my personal experience has been you have pain in your lungs, a specific area, sharp area, like a sharp pain that can come and go as you move, lay on your side, stand up, varying intensity, and as you take deep breaths, it hurts. Depending on the amount of clotting you have, it could be extremely painful experience, or it can be a minor pain, anywhere between a 1 and a 10. So, right now, that's not too bad. It's probably like a 1. It's pretty much almost all the pain's gone. 2 or 3 days ago it was like a 5. My first PE was like a 10. So minor compared to that. Where I'm at now is I'm back on blood thinners, and that's my regimen. I don't have to go to the hospital or see doctors or do anything. Every situation is different. Every patient is different. I'm not giving medical advice. I'm only explaining what I'm doing and what I'm going through. But typically the pain resides pretty quickly. For me, the pain's resided pretty quickly once you get on blood thinners with a PE.
Let's go to Bob.
Bob Hockris, ESPN. Is it your understanding that if you are able to race, that you'd be able to get back in the 55 car this year for MWR? And also, do you have any idea what caused the clots this time?
Well, if I am able to race, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else other than the Aaron's Dream Machine. I've been very blessed to have this opportunity the last couple of years to be in the 55 Camry. and the opportunities to work with Aaron's, and also to bring in new partners like this weekend with Jansen. And I just really love that team. It's become a home for me, and it'll always be no matter what. I love all the guys in that car, Billy and Shaggy, Joe, everyone, Steve. It's good on the whole list. I really enjoy working with Rob and Michael and Ty and Scott and Bobby, and go down the list again. But Larry, there's so many great people with that organization. So yes, if I get back in a race car, that's where I want to be. But again, now we're just talking speculation. We're just talking. I've got to get through today and tomorrow, and then we'll worry about what's next. What's after that. So.
And any idea the cause of the clots this time?
No, I want to get back and kind of walk through the last week of events, and so far, any clots I've had have been provoked by some particular event. I haven't had a chance to meet with my doctors, like with the hematologists. I was at the hospital, but I haven't had a chance to meet with hematologists to kind of go through kind of the week's events and things that happened and how they could have potentially affected that. Between the race and being on a plane, being on like 4 planes for 4 hours, 5 hours a day, 2 or 3 times a day, or 1 or 2 times a day for 3 days. I'm sure that probably didn't help, but so we got to go through all that and figure it out.
Let's go over here, one here, and then we'll end with Jeff Gluck.
Hey, Brian. What does it say about MWR that through all that you've been through, the ups and the downs and the ins and the outs, that they've stuck behind you and continue to keep that seat open for you when you come back?
I have nothing but amazing things to say. Listen, at the end of the day, they have a team to run, and I'm probably starting to wear out their patience, but I know that if at all possible, they're going to stick behind me, and they've proven that. It's the kind of organization they are. It's the kind of team they are, and I think that goes a long way. It goes a long way for me, and it should go a long way for anyone that's thinking about working with them. Whether it's their partners like, Aaron's or Jansen, Toyota, 5 Hour, it's the employees, the drivers, the whoever. So there's something to be said for that. It makes you, when you get in that race car, it makes you want to put everything on the line, because they're going to do the same for you.
Let's go right here, and we'll finish off with Jeff Gluck.
Okay, Presto Cars and Competition. We talked about this last year. Also, you just were through your repair of your patch for your heart. Could you differentiate between the pain for that and the pain for the clots for people who really want to know what to be aware of?
Yeah, so 2 very different incidences, not related, at all. Just some of my things to deal with. The first pulmonary embolism I had in 2010 was extremely painful. And the heart situation was probably, wasn't as bad going in, but it was worse coming out, after open heart. That pain, waking up from that, I never want to experience that again. I wouldn't wish that upon anybody. This particular incident a few days ago was probably like a 4 or 5 on a 1 to 10. It was, because I called it early, because I kind of listened to my body, and I went to the hospital. If I had waited, it would have continued to get worse, and it would have went from a 5 to a 7 to a 10, and kind of gone on up. But I called it pretty early, so it wasn't too bad. Well, thank you very much.
And we'll finish off with Jeff Gluck.
Jeff Gluck from USA Today. I think fans don't totally understand what the blood thinners mean or what the medication process is, and you're advertising for Xarelto. Can you say you were not on Xarelto? You have been on for some time. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, that is correct. So I was not on any blood thinner. I was not on Xarelto. I've had the opportunity to work with them to raise awareness, about the issues of clotting. It's kind of what the campaign this weekend, like you said, was about. The Drive for Clots. .com. The month of March is also clot awareness. On a brighter note, I got an opportunity to meet Arnold Palmer and Kevin Nealon. That was pretty awesome. We shot a commercial in January, and that's airing right now. You may have seen because they put it everywhere, and it lasts for 2 minutes. That was really fun. It was an honor to meet those guys and spend time with them. Both Kevin and Arnold, just great. Listen, I've always admired Kevin in a lot of ways, and I love his movies and his comedy. But Arnold Palmer is just a legend. It was so weird. When we first met Arnold, Kevin and I both had something for him to sign. I don't think I've ever asked for an autograph, in my life. No, that's actually not true. When I was a kid, I got Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt's autograph, and then I thought there was a few guys I wanted to ask for an autograph when I first started racing in NASCAR, but I thought it was kind of weird since I was actually racing with them, so I didn't. But Arnold Palmer is the other one, and it was pretty cool. So. I'm kind of jumping around a little bit. My thoughts are kind of scattered right now, as you can imagine. But then, I absolutely have not been on a blood thinner for a PE or DVT since the end of 2013, which is what the commercial is about. That's the story I'm telling in that commercial. So I am back on a blood thinner, and to your question, I am on Xarelto. It's what my doctors recommended. It's what, working with them, what they wanted me on, and which works out great because it's what I wanted to be on. But when it comes to clotting, when it comes to blood thinners, again, I just keep repeating the message. If you think something's wrong, go see a doctor and listen to your doctors. You have to work with your doctor what's right for you. I can tell you my story. I can tell you my symptoms, my signs. I can tell you what I did. And what I'm doing now, but each person needs to find their own, what's right for them, and work with their doctor on that.
Well, Brian, our thoughts remain with you and Sarah. It's good to see you smiling up here. It really is, and we appreciate you joining us this morning on a race day. And best of luck to you as you continue through this journey.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you all for all the support. Seriously, through all of it. Whatever happens next, I couldn't have been happier to be in that car for the last 2 weeks. Coming back from the heart surgery was from all of it was a huge accomplishment, and I couldn't have done it without support of my family and my friends, my wife, my partners, Aaron's Toyota, Jansen, MWR, and I'm very thankful for that. By no means have I given up. To kind of reiterate some of the things we've discussed, I don't know what's next. I know I'm going to be on blood thinners for the next 3 months, and then after that, I'm going to do all I can to get back in a race car. But what's next is next, and we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But no matter what, I appreciate the support. The support in the NASCAR community has been amazing every time, every step of the way, as I expected it to be, from the fans to the media to the people in the garage. So, thank you for all that.
Thank you.